Hi, let's make some tea. So I've got my tea. I've had to put my microphone on because otherwise I can't hold my tea. So cheers everyone. Today I have yogi tea, alkaline herbs, because I actually ran out of tea bags, which is a complete disaster in my life. I normally buy them from Amazon or my sister brings them from the UK, but I've run out, so it's a bit tragic and I may have to resort to Amazon or try a German type brand of black tea, but it's not the same. So herbal tea it is. Cheers. Anyway, so first of all I wanted to say thank you to everyone who watched my last video. I can't believe it. I'm actually completely shocked and humbled and amazed that anybody would want to watch my videos, especially those of you who watched more than 30 seconds. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for the lovely kind comments. Really lovely people. You're lovely people. I feel like I've already got nice people around me. Anyway, for those of you who missed the last one, my name's Georgia and I'll link the other video in the description below, maybe here if I can figure it out in the little thing at the top. Today I actually wanted to talk about being a middle child because I have middle child syndrome, but I'm going to leave that maybe till next week because I wanted to do a bit more research on it, but I am basically textbook middle child. Yeah, and my sister's textbook oldest child and my brother is definitely textbook youngest child. So what have I been up to apart from running out of tea bags? I did have a cup of coffee yesterday to make up for it and then regretted it when I couldn't get to sleep till about midnight, which is terrible. It's an age thing. I used to be able to have a cup of coffee at 8 p.m. and still go to sleep by 10, no problem. Now I have a cup of coffee at 3 in the afternoon and I only drank half because I was too wired and then I couldn't sleep. Welcome to old age, welcome to middle age, not old age. But you know, like I said in the last one, I don't feel old. I have moments of having old issues like not sleeping after too much caffeine, turning around in bed and my hips aching a little bit, but otherwise things are good. This is quite nice actually. I think herbal tea is actually awesome. I have so much tea downstairs. I have the best intentions always to drink all these wonderful herbal teas and always resort back to normal English breakfast tea because frankly it's the best tea in the world. Actually no, Indian chai tea is a step better, but it's an improved version of English breakfast tea. So here we are, a week later. I can't believe, as of this morning, I had 57 subscribers. I can't believe 57 of you are actually interested to hear what I have to say. It's a bit mental, and I am a little bit of shock. My 9-year-old daughter can't believe it. She goes, "You've only put one video out, how come so many people want to subscribe to your channel?" So, bless her, she's cool. My kids are great. So I walked them to school this morning, and yesterday my little guy picked up a huge branch on the way to school but wasn't allowed to take it in. He's only 6. So he dumped it outside and this morning I had to take it back. So there I was walking home with this stupid branch. So it's now in the garden. Of course I took it back for him. You know, he spent 3 years at forest kindergarten. You can take the boy out of the forest, but you can't take the forest out of the boy. They both did. They had 3 years in this, it's called a Waldkindergarten in Germany, and it's forest kindergarten, which is basically you outdoors all day long from 8 or 9 they start. He normally got there just before 9 until latest 3:30, so about 9 till 3, outdoors all year round, every single day, unless it's pouring with rain. They have this little, they call it a Bauwagen, I guess like a wooden, it's more than a hut, it's almost like a little caravan-y thing, but it's static, but it's cute inside, it's all wooden, and the kids can huddle inside if it's really bad weather. But But actually during Corona it was a problem. At Corona they weren't allowed inside, so they had to get this massive gas heater outside where they could have their lunch in midwinter if it was too cold in the forest or too wet. But even in winter, outdoors, you put on 4 or 5 layers, merino wool, vests, gloves, hats, thermals, and they're great, and the kids have the best time. And you pick them up in the wetter days and they just have streaks of mud down their face and their clothes are covered in mud. Our car is a disaster. Even a few months after he finished now, our car's still dirty. This ingrained dirt you get in the carpet bits. So that'll never come out. We leased it originally. Actually, when she started kindergarten, we never had a car when we lived in the centre. Now we live in the suburbs. And the first day we all got the bus together, which goes from the end of our road all the way to kindergarten. It was a 1-hour trip. And we had a little baby brother and a little 3-year-old girl. All 4 of us get on the bus. 10 minutes into the journey, my husband turns to me and goes, "We're getting a car." Yes. We didn't need it before. So we got one and we leased it first of all for 3 years. And then we had to buy it because it was just a state. There's no way we'd ever be able to give it back. So we've got a car, which is wonderful. I'd never owned a car. I passed my driving test when I was 28 and age, how many years do you have? 43, I guess? No, 42, 43, whatever, early 40s, I finally got my first car. And I did used to have a lot of cars to do work, so we did have cars to drive. But as far as owning a car with my name on the documents, first car, great. I love it. I love driving. I've driven a lot for work. I'm in the car industry, but I'm not a petrol head. Like, you know, I didn't even learn to drive till I was 28. It wasn't worth it in the UK. Well, my mum took me out on my 17th birthday and said never again, because obviously I couldn't drive. And then I went to university and you didn't need a car then. I had a friend who had a car, my boyfriend, now my husband, he had a car. He was older anyway. And it was not necessary. We moved together after university and I sort of didn't need it. I worked in London, I commuted, and then realised I couldn't really visit my mum easily. Couldn't visit my sister who was living about an hour away somewhere else. And I thought, you know, I'm just going to do this. And then learned to drive. And it was the best thing ever. Spent a year taking lessons. Actually my first driving lesson ever was, so hungover. Oh my god, I don't know what is wrong with me. I must have been 26 when we started. It was a Saturday night and we drunk, obviously tons, went to bed maybe at 3 in the morning. I had a lesson scheduled for 8 AM Sunday morning. I mean, I can't even go there. I can't even go think about what was going through my head, why I stayed up drinking. I was trashed. I think I was still drunk when I got in the car. I'd thrown up 10 minutes before the driving instructor came. I'm sure he could smell the alcohol on me. I just sat there and obviously we drive on the left in the UK. I only went left and I only went first gear for the entire hour. In fact, half the time he sat there explaining this stuff to me and the pedals, and I just... But, you know, fast forward a year, I passed first time, so that was great. And I used to actually, after that terrible, awful, horrendous first driving lesson experience, I used to then schedule them for 8 o'clock Saturday morning and not go out Friday night. So this was my brain telling me not to drink, which was interesting because I have a bit of a journey with alcohol. I like to get into it and then I pull it back again, then slowly it creeps back. So currently I'm on a no drinking phase. It's been quite a few weeks now and it's great. And I'm feeling great and I'm sleeping better if I don't have too much caffeine. Yeah, so yes, so passed my test and didn't drink so much in the time I was driving, learning to drive, so that was great. And then we moved to a tiny village just outside of where we lived previously, which had no connections, and then we bought a little Golf GTI. It was a 1987 Mark II Golf GTI that our friend found on the driveway of a house where he was painting, and bought it, did it up and sold it to us for, I don't know, £100 more than he paid for it. And it was great, and it was this little runaround. I had my friend actually from uni who lived 10 minutes away then, and we used to go swimming once a week. We used to meet up at each other's houses, and it was my first experience of freedom with a car at 28, which most in the UK often have at about 18, States I know even earlier. So to me it was amazing freedom. So, and then ironically, later that year, a big truck drove into it and wrote off the car. And then my company was moving to Germany, so we just got a little one for a couple of £100 just to get us through those last few months. And then came to Germany, and then we had no car, but suddenly we had all these fantastic new press cars that would come through our company that the journalists used to drive, and I was a graphic designer then, so I used to also get to drive them, and I'm kind of cringing thinking about it. What I was thinking of this yesterday, we've got a little bridge here, and there was a massive traffic backlog because this little minibus got stuck under the bridge. And my kids were laughing and saying, who would do that? Who wouldn't know how high their little bus is or their car is? And I went, well, there's a funny story there, because we had a Mercedes Sprinter van once as a test car, and it had these big indicators on the top, and there was again a little bridge under the train tracks near where we lived. Off I went. I had it for the weekend just because it was wheels, and just it was good to drive all the different cars or vans. And they're pretty big, the Sprinter vans. The best thing we had was a Porsche Cayenne when they first came out. It was like so much money, and we were lucky to get it from Porsche because they didn't really give us cars. And I got it for the weekend, and we had this tiny little parking space outside our flat. And just bear in mind, I hadn't been driving that long. And I went to park forwards, and my husband or boyfriend then, he said, go backwards, reverse in. You know, he's been driving since he was 17, and he's 6 years older than me. So he's just all, yeah, whatever, it's easy. Just reverse in, it's much easier to reverse in. I go, oh, okay. These wire fences on either side around it. And also a caveat here, about a year later, our landlord made it 10 centimetres wider because it was actually too small from the plan, so it was a very small space. And there I went reversing into it, and back then it only beeped front and back, and there were no cameras on these, and we were talking like 2005 or something. I don't know, whenever the Cayenne came out, what do I know? I'm only in the industry. And again, I heard this scraping. I went, oh, what's that scraping? And I saw like my boyfriend's face, just horror. I went, what? He goes, oh my God. I went, what? So then I drove back out again, scraping it even louder. Stop, get out. I've basically scraped the entire side of the car, every single panel, taken off the bits on the handles as well for both the doors. It was awful. It was a disaster. It was bad. So I got him to park it for me and didn't drive it until I went back to the office on probably the next day or Monday, whatever. Had to tell my editor, had to fill in the little form and draw a picture what happened. You know, I am stupid, I can't park. It doesn't beep on the side. And Porsche didn't give us another car for 2 years, and that's another one I haven't heard the end of. I mean, I'm still in touch with a couple of my colleagues, ex-colleagues, and also we have friends and people that worked in the same building upstairs. And yep, the time Georgia trashed the Porsche Cayenne. So my editor didn't really let me have that many nice cars for about 6 months afterwards. But I haven't done it since. Never had an accident. I dented our car a little bit once, but you know, otherwise I'm okay, I'm safe. I no longer speed. The autobahn thing, I got that out of my system after about a couple of years, driving fast to work and back. It was on the motorway in the fast cars we had. It was just, you know, it was fun. We got the Lambo once. I did 297 kilometers an hour. I think I almost managed 300. Freaked out because it was so scary, and I've never gone anywhere close to even 200 since. If I'm on the motorway, I'll go maybe 120 kilometers an hour, maybe 140 if I'm overtaking, but I have a family, I have kids in the car, my car's not so powerful, and you know, I've seen plenty of crashes on these roads to know not to go fast. You know, they have good cars, they have very good cars, good brakes, they drive like complete idiots, mostly, flashing behind you, blink and suddenly the car's behind you, indicating, beeping, flashing, get out the way. I don't have the patience. Yeah, I just sit in the middle lane. I'm not going to get stressed. Sometimes I get stressed if I have to overtake and they come shooting up behind me. But then, you know, you can wait. I don't care. Just Nothing is that urgent. Nothing. Okay, some things, but generally there's no urgency. They're here at the traffic lights, they're just going through red all the time, and police don't seem to do anything about it. You very rarely have cameras on traffic lights to take pictures of people going through on red. And the amount of times I've seen people go through just on red at the traffic lights by the school where you've got all these kids crossing and the green comes pretty quickly, you know, or they go literally properly through on red and almost run over a kid because it's green for them. Like, the horrors of potential accidents I've almost seen is bad, and they don't. But yeah, when they crash pretty amazingly, pretty, wow, pile-ups and everything, because they drive this far apart, and we have seen people drive this far apart going 200 kilometers an hour, one after the other. One just brakes suddenly, bang, 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 and you have these massive pile-ups. At least once a summer, you hear the news somewhere there's been a massive pile-up where they just all bang into each other, and it's tragic. So yeah, I didn't talk about middle children at all. I've talked about cars and the craziness of people in this country with no speed limit. So I like speed limits. I'm a big supporter of speed limits. I have driven quite a lot of electric cars, which are pretty cool. They have nice torque, they speed off fast, but then you go at a much slower, steadier pace because it saves battery. So it's nice. It's actually a very relaxed way to drive. And our next car, when we get one, will be electric, definitely. On that note, I have to go get the kids from school. So, another sip of my tea. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for your comments again. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being there and giving me your time. That's just wonderful. You're all wonderful. And I'm going to go now, and I'll see you hopefully next week. Cheerio!